Good afternoon, YouTube. Time for a recap. So, this morning, bright and early in the Discord, we had a little read on Anchor VWAP. So, I'm going to go over. This is the QQQ 5 minute. And I'll bring it over to you on the big chart here. I just want to show you the timestamp post, like always 22nd, 5:30 a.m. No edits ever. We had some fibs, and we predicted that we were going to get a little bit of a down and then break up through the orange anchors into the purple anchors, which I'll explain in a little bit. We said that right here, would watch for a late pre, break up through orange to purple VWAPs this morning as we were watching. So we did have a really cool algo imbalance. We took a couple plays right here. We broke down a couple of our 1 minutes here. We ended up with $3,300 this morning, so not a bad P&L on all of our funded top one accounts here. And by the way, I'm pretty sure my payout went out this morning, and I'll let you guys know when it hits the bank account. We'll make a review on top one, as we did get a $3,500 payout, our first one on the accounts. And that's me pointing it out right here, actually. I forgot I posted that in chat. So we did request our next payout. So again, we're just cruising. Later on in the day, we had a couple of really nice calls for big short targets. We had a really big algo, and then we were talking about some of our short targets for later on, what we still need to see. Okay, we did the jobs data this morning. Fibby, like always, run up. We'll cover that as well. So let's get into it. So one thing, or I should suppose we'll start right here. We're going to go with the VWAPs. Now, this is that VWAP little system I posted. And what I did was I grabbed yesterday's VWAPs. These act as over-under levels. This is the open, high, low, close 4 setting for mine. And if you notice right here, the opening push yesterday that went crazy, we had a bunch of anchors that just didn't have any tags. So I put them like this at first, and we just had this beautiful up consolidation push, and then the big short that we had called yesterday after the GP tag. Now, the problem with that is on the upside anchors, those are in purple for me, right? And you see those crack right here and go speeding to the downside. That's going to come in helpful in a minute. And then remember, purple is upside anchors when they were in a trend. Orange is downside. So when we got this huge push back down, I started grouping anchors up on all of the big pull down candles, and it looked like this. And the candles I used were just the largest ones in the dumps for the anchor VWAPs. And then we came in and we said, well, I want to see a breakup over the orange to the purple. Okay, now that's confirmation trading. That's what we do here, right? So the upsided purple had the snap through, like we said, and then the orange was the rolling resistance. So the confirmation would be to push through the rolling resistance, because this is the downsided anchors, and push to the back test of the purple needed, right? So we had these purple anchors that were broken, then needed to be retested. So we had a long thesis this morning, right? If we go to the 15-minute chart, we also had a monster 15-minute candle here that we had talked about being an opportunity to see a retrace the golden pocket, which we already did hit the golden pocket, but because we came all the way down towards that 1618 or very close, generally we can return back. So we did have that drawing as well. So let's get into some of the other fun little things we had played today. So the QQQ, this is my sentiment for the day. And you guys, if you watch this channel, you know at the yesterday's highs and yesterday's lows, I'll be putting these gold Fibonacci points always. And yesterday's close, and you see I left kind of a gap there in between my sentiment, which means I didn't want to be short unless my sentiment was under yesterday's close in trending, which is this white dashed line you see here. That's yesterday's close. Then above that is the same old weekly, which we had that tag of, right? That's our first tag metric right here. And we said generally, once we fail and get our first tag of the weekly Fibonacci, we usually bounce. And what would be a good positional bounce end? Well, of course, yesterday's GP, duh. So yesterday's high to yesterday's low equals this GP right here. So as long as we are inside the body, right, inside yesterday's close, we go to the GP. So that was the whole thesis. Was not very hard. So that's how we usually play things. We keep her simple, right? The 7:30 a.m. jobs data candle right here did help us out with some longs as well, because we did long past this. And then we looked for a little bit of back testing that didn't follow through, and again we watched for the confirmation, so you can't get caught in any of this bad stuff. But I'll show you also the Fibonacci cycle here. So let's turn these neon green real quick, and then we will show you Fib cycle. So neon green now is the jobs data, 7:30 a.m. Central. So here's our Fib box, goes up, hits our 1618, 2618, 3618, 423, and you guessed it, the ever so amazing secret hidden super strategy 666. Can't tell you why that's so important, but it is a monster. So as we got a absolute resistance check right at our target too long, since we were long biased out of the gate, we actually longed above yesterday's close. So my big trade today for the 3300 happened in pre-market, and some of my bigger accounts on our cash trade counts, we did wait for the rejection here at 423 and 3618 back down to the 2618, and of course if it holds that, we have a chance to break back up, and it did. And what we needed the most was yesterday's close. So that was just a helping hand from the jobs data fibbies. The main point of interest, like I have on the chart for our crew and what I said in Discord, was the VWAPs and yesterday's close. Once we are inside the body, so here's the low wick, here's the body, right? It goes all the way up to yesterday's highs. As long as we're not in that wick range on the daily, we're above yesterday's close right here on the white dash line. We have an opportunity to that GP, like we said. So we back up here a little bit through the day, and I told my crew, I said, yeah, if we don't break back down, we hold trend and we're steady above that 100 EMA, 200 SMA, the moving averages that we use, and most importantly, the weekly 5, 14, 13, you can't really look short, as we've said, right? And we had one opportunity to see a secondary push, and I'll show you the play here since we don't really need any of these. Target 2 hit, target 1 hit on the long side of things. Now, the recycle here was pretty interesting. It's overall trend, right? So we did get the push on jobs. We did move into the 50 right away. We did come back down, create the one higher low, peaked at a little bit of a lower high, then again, just ended up holding that same weekly level. Look at the defense here, right? We popped up, snapped over it, weekly defense, popped up, held higher, weekly defense, up again, weekly defense. This is why we use weekly Fibonacci's on that intraday, because they are monsters, right? So there were a couple opportunities you could have had, which my favorite moving average is the 100. I use that with the VWAP for trend. That's pretty much all I use. And then where that 100 EMA and volume weighted average price go, that usually maintains trend. So we can take a quick peek at SPY here. And that'll give you a couple key points for here as well. So SPY was the lagger today. So if you put them next to each other, you're going to see that divergence. So again, you're going to have, this doesn't look perfect right here. You're going to have that high-low, like always. I don't know why that's off by a smidge, but it bothers me. There we go. And then we're in gold, right? Always. So again, same exact rule applies, but look at that. We did have a beautiful algo this morning. So these algo candles, I do like to fib out in the 5-minute when they got some wicks. And I'll change this one neon green so you can see that sentiment. Go for a little faster here, which again, it is identical. So we did come into yesterday's lows close hold, but here's the key on ES and SPY. So we trade ES and NQ off of the SPY and the QQQ because the ETFs are much more important than the futures contract. And when we see this push right here, we ended up holding yesterday's lows, right? That's the blue dash line you can see right there. And yesterday's close being the white again, same thing. But every push that the Qs made into the QQQ golden pocket, SPY, as you notice, never made it up to that golden point. Something else was stopping it. Well, you guessed it, this giant algo candle's GP, which is right here in the neon green. And I'll delete that green now so it makes it a little easier to see. That is the golden pocket of that algo system here. So that huge algo systems GP that we had just started off ends up being perfect resistance instead of the gold. So we said here, and I was looking for a quick downside move back to jobs potentially, but it needed to break structure and stay clean under VWAP. And we got off right here, and I said, guys, that's probably it. We covered that profit stop here, and I'm like, we're probably not going to go any lower because we didn't break any structure, right? So we had the low, it popped up to a higher high, came down, a micro higher low, micro higher high, higher low, so trend dominant, and finally got the GP. But one cool thing you can do in between these two is you can identify the divergence between the QQQ and SPY, and we like to look at which one's front running and which one is lagging, right? And today SPY was the lagger. So a lot of the time you can see SPY make a catch-up move, kind of like a rubber band. So if the rubber band, if you pull it and the QQQ moves first, the SPY has to move second, right? So QQQ runs, SPY will chase in this instance. Now that divergence can go both ways. Sometimes, or I should say more often than not, the SPY is the leader, sometimes Qs. But remember, this is only 100 stocks over here. This is 500. And whatever's going on the tippity top big algo stocks, Google, Microsoft, Tesla, it affects each differently. So we did get a rubber band on QQQ side. We did come up to the GP, and that's why we decided, yeah, you know, if we do hold and do a couple more squeezes to highs, our last final target for SPY was going to be a golden pocket because we did shy it and shy it here in the morning. So keep that in mind when you're watching those magnet algorithm levels. Notice our GP was tagged, and we're good to go. So I made a post on X, saying thanks for the support, guys. We're going to give away a free month of BRT membership to trade with me live. If you're interested in this, the link is in the description if you want to sign up. If you want to win a free one, what we did right now is I used AI and I went and I made this post for a prediction. I gave you guys an example of what my team sees every single morning as we attempt to navigate and predict these markets the best we can. And I'm trying to find it. Where's my post? Right here. It says this video only. This video will give you an inside look of what my members get live pre-market every morning. Watch as we predict the market to the T, which was crazy because we actually had a really good day. That doesn't happen perfectly like that. So please don't sign up and expect us to predict the market every day, every hour, every second. It doesn't work like that. We just had a absolutely stellar day. Now, there's been a lot of chop lately. We've been doing okay in the chop. We haven't taken any huge reds or anything like that, which is good, but doesn't always work out as perfect as this video portrays it to be. So please be mindful of that. I took all of your names from whoever reshared this. So I grabbed a list and I went to view the quotes and repost. So I took a big list of every one of you guys that went through. I made it on AI and I asked AI, I said, AI, make a list, grab all the names and pick a random one. And that was Trader John. So congrats, brother. Thank you for shouting us out. Thank you for reposting. This is your X account. Oh, I seen you in a second. There you go. X account right here. So that's my boy right here. So congrats to the reshare. Contact me on X. I don't know if you remember or not. I have a couple Johns in chat. Might be you, might be not. I don't know, my friend. But please contact me on X. If it is not you, tag me, comment if I don't see the message. I get a lot of crazy messages on X. Sometimes I get skipped. Tag me, say you messaged me, whatever you got to do. Please reach out so I get you that free month. Come join us at BRT. For the rest of you guys, if you want to see me do it live, like I said earlier, the link is in the description. We stream live every day, 8 a.m. until about 10:30 sometimes, depending what the trade's doing. We like to play that couple hour open and end of pre. If you want to win some cold, hard cash this weekend, again, all you got to do is make sure you're subscribed, like the video, drop a comment. I use a random comment picker every single weekend, and we just give out cash. Simple as that. All right, guys. See you on the next. Thanks.